societal discrimination and struggles with self-worth. Underneath it all, they're still humans battling human problems. Plus, the new Behind the Scenes Narrative podcast will tell you how the second season got made. Umbrella Academy, streaming July 31st only on Netflix. And be sure to check out the Behind the Scenes podcast by searching Netflix Behind the Scenes on any podcast platform. How are you, man?
I'm pretty good. I'm nervous. This makes me nervous.
Why does it make you nervous? I mean, I guess we don't really know each other. I don't know you.
Yeah, I don't think we know each other at all. But, I mean, I know you through the show. I'm a big fan of the show. We chatted in Montreal last year a little bit. Almost a year ago today, probably.
That's right. And so you know me through this show, and maybe you've seen my stand-up or no?
Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah, so I was on a bringer show with you in 2002, 2001, Stand Up New York. Maybe it might have been 2000. I was a kid. And
it must have been a rare night because I fucking hated that place and never went there.
Yeah, it was definitely, you seemed unhappy, and I did the thing where I was like, hey, I'm opening for Marc Maron. I said that to you, which many people have said to me since.
Yeah.
And it makes me think, boy, this guy must have hated me.
Yeah,
I saw him.
Well, I mean, fortunately, if there was any sort of hate, it's gone away. I don't recall it. You're probably right in that moment. It was probably not great, but wow. Yeah. It's so weird when people say certain clubs like that one. I'm like, I hated going in there. I hated working at that place. I hated everyone who ran it, over the years that it went on. But I know that a lot of people who came to New York went through there because they did so many of those bringer shows. Yeah,
that was like, well, I started in Boston, so I found out about bringer shows, so I would drive down with my bringer, like my family. I'd drive down with 4 people and drive to New York, do a set, and then drive back.
Really?
Yeah, that was and I thought, in the time, I was like, here we go, baby. We're going to New York.
New York City. Yeah. Right, Mom? Who was in the car with you?
I drove down a couple times, with my mother, father, and sister, and my uncle one time. That was a car. So there was 4, and it was like a regular sedan. So there'd be 4 of us in the car.
And you'd go and you'd see where you were on the lineup, and you'd wait. Sometimes, was there ever one of those nights where you didn't go on until everyone was gone?
It wasn't too bad like that. No, I mean, I feel like I don't remember that. I'd have a decent spot because I actually brought my people, but I remember there was a lot of people that would sign up and they weren't able to get their people. And so that would be they'd have to squabble and try to get people. And that happened to me once where I went all the way to New York and I was like, I'll just figure it out. And I was barking for myself. I was trying to get people off the street to go to the club and say that they came to see me.
Really? Did it work?
One time I did get a couple of people to do it. They were like, okay. And it was because I did a tour at NBC. I did the NBC Studios tour. We went to 8H or whatever. I looked at Conan's set or whatever. And
you actually were just a tourist at the tour.
Yeah, I was a tourist at NBC. Right. And it was 2 British ladies. And I was like, if you like comedy, you could go to Stand Up New York tonight and tell them you're there to see me. And they sure. And they did it.
Well, I think I'd seen you once before somewhere, and then I watched the whole special the other night.
Oh, God.
What's it called again, the special?
It's called I Hate Myself.
Good. So but I watched it, and I've been watching the specials lately because I've been kind of sad, and I enjoyed it because it's weird. You're sort of an unassuming guy. You seem like a wiry little guy, but you certainly know how to fucking hit those jokes with a bat.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I was worried about where that was going, and thanks for watching it. I mean, that makes me nervous. You're the first person to see it. I mean, literally outside of my, I guess, manager and agent, whoever did the editing.
No, it was great. What's interesting is how much of it, sadly, kind of plays as nostalgia already. Flying flying on planes. You're doing this whole bit about planes, which is, that's something we talk about because we spend so much of our life on planes. But now, like 6 months into this fucking shit show, it's kind of like, I remember, you could just lay down on planes and it was a nice thing to do and fly,
Yeah, it's strange. I've done a couple sets here in New York, like outdoor shows, and you naturally set up jokes by being like, I was on the subway the other day, and you have to be like, I was on the subway 6 months ago, and boy, was this crazy.
So they're having outdoor shows. Like, who's doing that?
So there's a bunch of shows now. It's pretty wild, man. Like, the other day, my friend of mine had like 3 sets. So Stand Up New York, aforementioned Stand Up New York, has shows in Central Park, Battery Park, and Astoria Park. No microphone. They're just like essentially picnicking in
no
Central
microphone.
Park. No, and you just stand there and kind of yell at people that are picnicking, basically.
But they didn't come for the show? You're just sort of imposing?
No, they did come for the show. So they're aware of the show, and Stand Up New York has little, almost like political signs. Those little, you stick them in the grass?
Yeah.
But instead of saying Biden, it says Stand Up New York. And they will kick people out if they're in that space. Like, there was a guy, the first show I did there was a guy, like, laying on a blanket napping. And they were like, excuse me, this is the stage for our show. So he had to move. But the people are actually coming. Like, they have a big email list, and I guess people are aware of it, and they're, entertainment starved. So there was like 50 people there. And I heard one show had like 90 people.
No mic.
No mic, so you got to just project out to the folks. It's a little strange.
No, I mean, it seems nice. It seems intimate. It seems like theater. But my thinking is like, are they still that fucking cheap? They can't find a little setup that you can have outdoors so you guys can talk through a microphone.
I don't know. Maybe there's noise ordinances or something. I don't know what's going on. But then there's a couple like drive-in shows too at Bel Air Diner. You used to live in Astoria. I live here, and it's like a couple blocks from here. And they're all in their cars, and they flash their lights if they like a joke.
Now, see that I did you do that one?
I've done it a couple times. Now I did the first one. I was on the first New York City show.
You can't hear laughter.
Well, now they have some outdoor tables set up, like under a little tent, sort of, or under a whatever you call it, like a canopy or something. So you can hear those people. So you can hear about 15 people, and then you can see people smiling through their windshield.
Huh. Now that doesn't sound satisfying to me. I mean, maybe you're sort of like a nuts and bolts joke guy, so you can just kind of plow through your shit, and just take the hit without addressing it. But I would feel that it would be difficult to pace yourself, and sort of an odd exercise.
It's really strange, and the nice thing, the other night, so I've done a few now, of just outdoor or whatever, and I've done a bunch of Zoom shows, which are very strange also, and
now these for money?
Some of them are money. Like Comedy Cellar did their first Zoom show, and they pay because they're the Comedy Cellar.
Yeah.
And Stand Up New York did pay spot pay for the Central Park thing.
Right.
And so did the Bel Air Diner. Actually, I guess all of them are. Some of the Zoom shows are not, but.
So, the Zoom shows, like, what? How is that? Do you tell people to take their mutes off so you can hear them laughing, or how does it work?
It's really strange, but I'm oddly getting used to it. Well, that's what I was going to say just real quick, was at the Bel Air this past weekend was the first time I've done like 7 or 8 sets outside or on Zoom. That was the first time that I was like, oh, that fucking joke ate it. That sucked. It was the first time having a feeling of like, shit. And for the most part, though, you're like, there's no judgment. I can't judge this set or whatever. I'm just getting up and saying things, remembering them.
But, I mean, are you doing it because you're starved to be on stage, or like you just a feeling of obligation? Is it the money? What?
That's a good question that I haven't really put that much thought into. I guess it was the outdoor one. Some of it's just to see, like, let's see what this is like. I guess it's another form of stand-up. And, I guess just to the same reasons.
Yeah, that we go out and we did shows every night at 1 a.m. for nobody. If you're born with the compulsion and it's inside of you, you don't ask those questions. It's just you just do it. It's like, oh, there's a show, I'll do it. Where is it? Okay.
Yeah, basically that's it. I mean, some of them have paid, and I'm like, great, I'll make a few bucks. And the one in Astoria is down the street from my house, and the one in Central Park, my wife was on. She's a comic, and I was like, I'll go with you. And then they threw me up there. So,
oh yeah, you did a guestie in Central Park at the No Mic show.
Yeah. So it's I'm not doing indoor shows yet. I've canceled all those or postponed those for now because I'm trying to do the right thing.
So where's the special going to be on?
YouTube. That's the new thing. It's a YouTube.
And how does that work? So you shot it over at the Comedy Cellars outlet?
Yeah, the Village. I shot at the Village Underground.
Yeah, the Village Underground. And who produced it? Was it a Comedy Central or a Comedy Cellar joint? What is it?
No, it's just me. I just hired a guy to shoot it. The Comedy Cellar gave me the room and the door because they're extremely generous. And I just hired my own film crew to edit it and make it. And that was it.
And you had Bobby Kelly bring you up and outro you?
No, Sean Donnelly was the host. And,
Sean Donnelly?
Yeah, and it was just a regular old night at the Cellar. I mean, that's what I wanted it to be. Was initially was like, let's just do a night at the Cellar because those are fun. I find sometimes if you have fans there, comedy fans are tricky sometimes because they listen to all the podcasts and they begin to want inside jokes and they know you and they have heard stuff and I don't know. I like random audience members. But it was a Tuesday night and like the day of they were like, hey, we got 40 reservations. So we had to kind of push to fill it in and we did. And it was great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think it's bold to. Yeah, I mean, you must be pretty used to that room. I don't think either of those rooms are that particularly easy. They feel like challenging rooms to me, and especially if it's just their fucking people that come in there, it's hit or miss. So you were able to bring in half a house of people that know you.
Yeah, there ended up being a bunch of people that knew me, and everyone tweeted and did the thing and pushed it. So there was a lot of like comedy fans and. I got enough fans in New York we did 2 shows that the first show was like enough people, probably half the room was fans, and then maybe the second show was like a fifth of the room.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good mixture of people that are really rooting for, but sometimes, you get in your head, I'm like, if they're fans, they've probably seen me, they've heard it, they need something weird, they're comedy nerds, they're not going to laugh. And then I misjudge and I realize that they're actually fans because they love you and they want you to do well, and so they're hyped up and they end up making a great audience.
Yeah, that's the worst thing that we do with our heads is that we just make these weird assumptions because we're so hard on ourselves. So, we're tired of our own shit. And if we're doing old shit, there's, you're pretty sure that like, well, without saying I'm tired of it, you just put it on them. And they're like, they got to hate this one. They heard when I came up with this on the podcast.
Right.
And they're going to judge, but they don't, no one's thinking about us as much as we are. And, they're happy to be part of the event.
Yeah, of course. But I think if anyone hears a joke for a second time, they're like, he's doing the thing. He's setting it up like it just happened. He's full of shit. And that's probably my own projection,
Boy, like the comedy fan is not all of a sudden you're the revelation that they realize like they're not making this up. I mean,
but that's how you feel. I mean, you get in your head and you start to create those.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just sort of like it's like how do I feel about hearing a joke a second time? I don't know, and then a lot of times people, oddly, if you think about people like Gaffigan, but this is how we judge ourselves. I mean. Yeah, all people want to hear him do is Hot Pockets, for a decade, and it was the bane of his existence. But that's not how we think about it. I mean, I've thrown away so much material that 9 people heard on a show that no one fucking watched that I worked a half a year on.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I've had that with like. Can I do this on Conan? Because I did it on Live at Gotham. And you're like, nobody memorized your Live at Gotham set.
Nobody.
I think you said it at one point on this podcast. I think I remember it was you saying it about, like, hey, could you guys, I know some of you have been around for years, but could you let the rest of these folks just catch up? Like, you might have to hear another bit you heard from some YouTube video that you guys watched, but let everyone else catch up to this.
Well, that's the thing, man. If you think about the time, I'm older than you, when I think about, like, I've done like 6, 7, hour and a half, between 5 CDs and 4 or 5 specials.